Hello students, today we are going to study the Laburnum Top. It is the second poem in your textbook Hornbill for class 11 and it is written by Ted Hughes. Ted Hughes was a British poet and very well known for his love for nature. He used to write most of his poems and stories related to animals and nature. So if I take up a quick summary of the poem, let me tell you that this poem is about the arrival of a bird, goldfinch. Goldfinch is a small bird it has yellow feathers on its wings. The poem starts with the image of a laburnum tree which is as still as if it is dead. It is silent. There is no movement at all. But then, just then, a goldfinch arrives. As I told you, the goldfinch is a small singing bird which has yellow feathers in its wings. So this yellow goldfinch arrives, and as it arrives, it's almost as if the tree comes to life. There is so much movement, and the poet describes the movement of the bird, the sounds of the bird in great detail, and we will take it up during line by line explanation. But what is important is for you to understand that as the bird arrives, the tree comes to life. And as the bird leaves, after feeding its young ones, the tree falls silent again. So my belief is that the themes which are covered in this poem is interdependence in nature and the dynamic quality of nature. Nature is dynamic. It appears to be silent, but underneath there is life. And we will take this up again after I have taken up line by line explanation. So to continue, I'm going to read the stanza one at a time. This poem has 4 stanzas. The first stanza comprises 3 lines. It's the introduction and it describes the laburnum tree. So the laburnum top is silent, quite still. In the afternoon yellow September sunlight, a few leaves yellowing, all its seeds fallen. So the laburnum top refers to the top of the tree, does not refer to the trunk of the tree. The top of the tree is silent, still, there is no movement at all. In the afternoon yellow September sunlight. So we get to know that it is the season of autumn, because in autumn the leaves become yellow. And you will notice that in this stanza, the dominant color is yellow. And the tree appears to be dead. All the seeds have fallen. In the second stanza, we see a lot of movement and sounds. Till the goldfinch comes. So till the time the goldfinch, the bird comes, the tree had been completely silent. And then the goldfinch comes with a twitching chirrup. The chirrup is a sound word denoting the sound of the bird. And the word twitching tells you that, twitch is a small involuntary movement. So the bird arrives on the tree with a suddenness, a startlement at a branch end. The arrival of the tree is so sudden. It startles the observer. Who is the observer here? The poet. So the poet is observing all this. The poet is observing that the tree is silent and then the bird arrives. And the arrival of the bird is so sudden, it startles, it surprises the poet. And the bird arrives at the end of a branch. And then the next line, it says, then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt. The bird's movement has been compared to a lizard. As smooth as a lizard move. You have seen the movement of a lizard. It is always so alert. Its eyes are shining and it moves very quickly with short abrupt movements. So the poet compares the movement of the bird with a lizard. I'm repeating this line. Then sleek as a lizard. The word sleek here means as smooth as the movement of the bird is as smooth as a lizard. And alert and abrupt, she enters the thickness. She is a pronoun used for the bird. She enters the thickness. Thickness means the dense foliage of the tree, the tree is dense, thick. And a machine starts up. As the bird enters the thickness of the tree, a machine starts up. Now the image of a machine, you know what a machine does? It creates a lot of noise, there is vibration, it does some kind of work. And you will come to know later why the poet has used this word, a machine. A machine starts up. So it's almost as if a machine has started. And what happens when a machine starts? Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. Trillings means it's a musical sound. Tremor of wings, it's almost as if there are some wings there which are vibrating. And of chitterings. Chitterings is again the sound of a bird. It's a series of chirps. Okay? And when this happens, what happens next? The whole tree trembles and thrills. So it's almost as if an engine has started up. There is a lot of sound, lot of noise, and the whole tree appears to be trembling. And the poet says, the whole tree trembles and thrills. Now the word thrills means it's a verb here. The tree thrills. It causes a lot of excitement. And who is getting excited? The poet, the observer. So the poet feels thrilled at the sight of all this. It is the engine of her family. Her family refers to the family of the bird. Remember that the pronouns used for the bird are she and her. It is the engine of her family. And before this, the line is, the whole tree trembles and thrills. It is the engine of her family. So what is the engine of her family? It is the tree. And the machine which started up earlier refers to the family of the bird. And the family of the bird relies on what? The machine relies on an engine. It is the engine which is responsible for giving life to a machine. So here the tree has been compared with the engine of a machine. So I hope you understand that just like a machine is it cannot run without the engine. In the same way, the tree is what is giving life to the family of the bird. Because if the tree had not been there, would the family of the bird have survived? No. So the tree is the engine of her family, responsible for the survival of the family. She stokes it full. Once again, she refers to the bird. She stokes it full. Now, one of the meanings of stokes is to feed, feeds. And this is the meaning which applies. She stokes it full. She feeds her chicks till they are full. Now, once again, the image of the machine and the engine continues, because the word stokes also refers to, when in a machine the stoker has to stir the coal in order for the machine to run. So here again, this imagery continues. Then flirts out to a branch end. Flirt is a very quick movement. Flirting here is not referred to the flirting which you are aware of. It's not about flirting with a girl or a boy. Flirt is a quick, short movement. So with a quick, short movement, the bird moves to the end of the branch. And now the poet can see the bird fully. It can see the face of the bird, because the next line tells you, showing her barred face, identity, mask. Now once again, this is a very important line, because as the bird moves to the end of the branch, it leaves the thickness of the tree and the poet can see the face of the bird. Now the word barred here is very important. It means covered with stripes, or to cover something with thick bars. Here it can be interpreted as having two meanings. You know that the goldfinch has a striped face. It has a face is like a mask. It has a thick red patch on the face which appears to give it stripes. And The word bard can also refer to the fact that it's afternoon. The sun has caused shadows because of the branches of the tree on the bird's face. But the face, right now what is visible is also the identity of the bird. So I believe the first meaning applies more clearly here, but you can explain whatever meaning you can relate with. Both the meanings are correct. The third stanza comprises only 2 lines. Then with eerie, delicate, whistle-chirrup whisperings, she launches away towards the infinite. So the third stanza describes how the bird leaves the tree, takes off, launches towards the infinite. Infinite refers to the sky. And these 2 lines have given a very mysterious quality to the bird. It says that with eerie means strange, unusual. Delicate, you know what is the meaning of delicate. So the sound of the bird that is now emerging, it's like a whistle, it's like a chirrup, and it's like a whispering. So it's a whistle and a whisper both. And that is what gives it an eerie quality, a strange quality. The sound with which the bird launches off, takes off from the tree is an eerie, delicate whistle chirrup whisperings. So the bird seems to be quite satisfied with a good job. Well done. She has fed the chicks, the work is done, takes off to the infinite. And what happens when the bird takes off? Look at the last stanza. It comprises only 1 line. And the laburnum subsides to empty. So as the bird takes off, with the arrival of the bird, the tree had come to life. But as the bird takes off, the tree once again falls silent. It appears to be empty. We know it's not empty. We know that there is a nest with chicks inside. But to the poet and to the observer, once again it looks as if the tree has settled down with a sense of emptiness. Because the racket which was created by the bird and the chicks of the bird is not happening anymore. So you have understood, I hope. And now we are going to take up the various poetic devices which are mentioned in this, which are included in this beautiful poem. I hope you really loved it. And I'll explain the poetic devices to you one at a time. So as you can see, we've already covered the themes. The poet celebrates the dynamic quality of nature and interdependence in nature. Both the tree and the bird are benefiting because of each other, right? The tree comes to life because of the bird, and the bird, of course, relies on the tree to feed its chicks. But now we are going to talk about the poetic devices as I promised. And as you can see, the first device I have mentioned is alliteration, which also includes consonants. Now, alliteration can be quite clearly seen in the first stanza. The laburnum top is silent, quite still. Silent, quite still. Both these words start with the sound of S. Silent, still. And the next line, September, sunlight. Again, these 2 words are starting with the sound of S. We can also see a repetition of the sound S in the 5th line. In the 2nd stanza, you can see a suddenness, a startlement. Once again, and here we can also see anaphora, because a suddenness, a startlement. Both these are starting with the word a. And the next we come to, and we can see consonants here in the 8th line of the poem. Of chitterings and a tremor of wings and trillings. Consonance is the repetition of a consonant sound or any sound which need not necessarily be in the starting of the word. So you can see that the sound ings is repeated 3 times in this line. Chitterings, ings, wings, ings, and trillings. So because of this repetition of the sound ings, this line gets a musical quality. The next poetic device is simile. And you know where the poet has used it, right? The poet has compared the movement of the bird with that of a lizard. So the two qualities which are similar here are the movement of the bird. Look at the sixth line of the poem. Then sleek as a lizard and alert and abrupt. So as you can see, sleek as a lizard is clearly a simile because it uses the word as. And I forgot to mention, and alert and abrupt is also alliteration because of the repetition of sound alert, abrupt. The next poetic device is, of course, imagery. The poem is so rich in imagery, and we can see both auditory and kinesthetic imagery. Auditory imagery refers to the sound words, which also brings me to this poetic device, which is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia is a device which poets and writers use to recreate the exact sound which is found in nature among birds and animals. So auditory imagery and onomatopoeia here somewhere overlaps, and you have seen many sound words here such as chirrup, chitterings, trillings, and the third last line, whistle, chirrup, whisperings. So exact replica of the exact sound of the bird has been mentioned here. These are sound words, so they also create an image in your mind. Auditory imagery is used here. There is also a lot of kinesthetic imagery. Kinesthetic means that words which describe the movement of a creature has been used here. And you know very well that words like twitching, suddenness, abrupt, tremor, trembles, flirts, all these words are describing kinesthetic imagery because they are movement words and they create an imagery. Imagery is a poetic device where, because of the strong use of words, the poet creates an image in your mind and you can actually imagine what is happening there. The next poetic device is metaphor, and actually in the poem you can see extended metaphor. Extended metaphor is when the metaphor is not used just once, but other words are used which sort of extends that metaphor. And the metaphor here is machine and engine. A machine starts up. So the chicks, the family of the goldfinch, is like a machine. It starts up, it creates a lot of noise. And the engine of her family is the tree. So the tree is what fuels or what is responsible for the survival of this machine. And she stokes it full. I explained to you, just like a stoker stokes the coal to keep the engine running. The bird also feeds her little ones, her young ones, and then flies out. So we now come to the back exercises, the questions given at the back of the book, of the chapter. And the first question is, what do you notice about the beginning and the ending of the poem? And you know the answer, right? At the beginning of the poem, it is the tree which is silent, still, unmoving. It appears as if there is no life in the tree. And towards the end of the poem also, we see the tree as silent. It settles down to a sense of emptiness. The second question asks you to what is the movement of the bird compared and what is the basis of this comparison. So obviously I have explained to you that the movement of the bird has been compared with a lizard using a simile. And the reason that the poet has compared, the basis behind this comparison, is the way the bird moves. It enters the thickness of the tree as smoothly as a lizard enters, with alert with alert and watchful eyes, and movement is quite abrupt, just like a lizard. The third question is about why the image of the engine is evoked by the poet. Once again, I've explained this to you. You can talk about the use of metaphor, and you can talk about how the tree is responsible for the survival of the bird's family. So just like an engine is responsible for running of the machine, here the tree is the engine of the bird's family, without which the family cannot survive. A goldfinch needs a tree on which to build her nest. And it is because of that nest that she can come and go. Because of the tree, she leaves her young ones safely in the tree and comes and feeds them as the need arises. The next question, what do you like most about the poem? This has to be your question. You have to decide the answer, whether you like the poem or not. And of course, what did you like the most? You can talk about the poetic devices, you can talk about the theme, you can mention that because it's a poem on nature and you are a nature lover, it describes the beauty and interdependence and the dynamic quality of nature, so it attracted you. Okay, and of course you can mention the use of onomatopoeia, the use of sound words and the movement words, the rich imagery which the poet has used. So it has to be your own individual response, but you should give proper explanation of why you liked it. What does the phrase "her barred face identity" mean? Her barred face identity mask. I explained this to you once again. Barred means striped or covered with thick bars. So you can talk about any one meaning. You can say that a goldfinch has a striped face, and when it came out, it flirted out and sat at the end of the branch. The observer, the poet, could clearly see that it was a goldfinch, because the striped face of the goldfinch is her identity, and the poet could identify the face of the bird. Or you can say that because of the sunlight, the branches had cast a shadow upon the bird's face, which gave it a barred look, a striped look. Okay, so we come to an end of the poem. The explanation, I started with the summary, we covered the themes, the poetic devices, and I took up a line by line explanation. If you enjoyed this lesson, I hope you will subscribe to my channel, follow me for more such tutorials. Happy to help you. Wish you all the best for your exam, and you can connect with me, put up any query. I take classes online, offline, and if any query comes in the comments, I'll be happy to answer them. Take care. God bless.